Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Wyatt, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Applied Software. You're invited to join our MEP and construction innovation adventure with a mission to propel this great industry forward. My guest today is Jason Gregg, VDC Manager at RK Mechanical. He has over 30 years of construction experience, bringing innovation, technology, and prefabrication to the construction industry by utilizing field experience and project management to help propel employees to the next level. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Happy to be here.
Well, let's dive in with how you got into the construction industry to begin with.
Started in the construction industry. I kind of was born into it, actually. You know, my grandfather was a plumber. My dad was a plumber. I started working in the prefabrication shop in about 1984. So summertime, I would go work in the prefab shop, learn, to solder shower valves. I prefabricated waste and vent, gas pipe, lavatories, things like that. And then, after, working that through high school and stuff like that, I graduated in 91 and I wanted to see what the stuff that I was prefabricating, what that was going into the field. So went into the field, and like most people who start plumbing, I cleaned trenches for a long time. And then, through the years, just learned the trade itself, got my journeyman's license, then started getting into commercial. Moved to Colorado in 93, started at a company where my dad started teaching me isometric drawings. So using my 60-30 triangle, this is probably during the R14, R13 days, before I got into AutoCAD. And then I got the chance to learn AutoCAD 2000 and opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And I've been in that industry since then. That's all I know anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as a kid, kind of going into the shop and figuring things out, what was that experience like? It obviously didn't, turn you off in misery. You think back fondly because you built your career out of it. So
yeah,
what was that like?
It was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. I was young and I got to play with a bunch of tools.
Yeah.
I that kind of stuff. So, and then, I would go to work with my dad, doing commercial and residential when I was probably 5th, 6th grade, just go out to the field and learn to put on nail plates, and I would sweep up, things like that. So it was fun to be out there. And it was just something that I never really thought about. It's just as being a career, I just fell into it, and I'm glad I did. I love what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned to me beforehand that the RK really wants to be kind of on the leading edge with technology. What does that really look like to you?
So for us, I mean, obviously, moving into Revit is, we'll get there, but, using all the technology to this day, we just got the HoloLens. We're taking it to a job next week in order to check all of the infinity walls to make sure what we've received in our model, and we've laid all of our sleeves, we've laid all of our stuff prefabrication out to, is to make sure that what they told us was going to be there is really there, because anybody who's worked with an infinity structure, you can't cut the studs, you can't cut any of that stuff. You just don't touch it at all.
Yeah, nice. What's maybe the mindset that's needed to truly embrace the technology in the field and office?
So something that we spoke about before is getting the field involved, and I feel like you do have those outliers, but I feel if I get them involved and they get to touch the stuff, they get to feel like that they're a part of it. They get a lot more. I get a lot more buy-in from them. The HoloLens, it was really awesome. And not to go with that route, but with the technology side, is I brought that to a meeting, and I had guys 10 minutes after the meeting calling me and being like, "I want you to be on site tomorrow with that, because I have an underground that's already buried, but I got to go add some stuff to it. Can you bring that out there and we can walk the job and find out where that underground is, and I can dig that up." And instead of just starting to dig up areas to hopefully that's where the underground is.
Yeah. So can you kind of expand upon that for me? How do you help show the value in the tech to the field in order to get that buy-in?
That's a very interesting one. I would say within RK in general right now, I would say 50% buy-in and 50% not. It's getting those guys that buy into the technology to show those people who are not bought in yet the value of it, and what you can use it for. I mean, it's here and it's not going anywhere. You might as well utilize it. It's a tool for the field to use. I mean, we make their life a lot easier with all of the coordination, the modeling, all the thinking is done in the VDC department.
Yeah. So do you spend time then trying to find those kind of champions in the field to get them to be your advocate and share the good news of the tech that's coming in?
Yes, I do. And one of the things there's a few that I've picked out that, we talk, and I ask them, during certain meetings, will you stand up and let people know your thoughts on that? Because they are also looked up to within the company in general. And so if they can, stand up and voice their opinion on, hey, I did this on a project and it worked really well. It maybe, it puts a light bulb in somebody else's head that says, hey, you know what, if this guy did it, maybe I really need to try that.
Yeah. I love the storytelling aspect of it, because I think we resonate more through a narrative than just saying, hey, this technology does X, Y, Z, and this is what it will do for your workflow. Yes, that kind of goes over people's heads.
I love it when guys from the field come into me and say, I got this idea, I want to try this. Yeah. And that's interesting to me and fun, because they also are trying to push the technology side of it and what we can, do with the VDC stuff and, all the modeling, coordination, prefabrication.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's excited about something too, they're going to adopt it and embrace it a whole lot more than it just being pushed down on them.
Yep.
So you guys have really undergone a full Revit adoption across the team. Wonder if you could kind of talk to what kind of sparked that, and then how that process has been going.
Yeah. So when I came back to RK, I was I'm here now for 22 years. Is the agreement was to get the VDC department into Revit within a 2-year period. And at that point in time, I believe I had about 28 people, and had some other employees that I'd worked with previously reach out to me for a job, and they knew Revit, and which was awesome, because I had probably about 3 people who knew Revit, and the rest were just AutoCAD MEP. So we did our first job in Revit in March of 2020, and then about September of 2020, the whole team started moving over, and I loved it, because I had people just raise their hand and say, hey, I want to do the next job in Revit, because they knew that was the direction we were going. We weren't going back to AutoCAD. So, within the year and a half now, we are fully Revit. Everybody is in Revit. I got them 16 weeks of training. Obviously, think about this was during a pandemic, and everybody's working at home.
That's gonna be my next question for you.
so everybody's working at home. So, I got them virtual training for 16 weeks. It was all based on what we do here. And within Revit, you're going to learn the basics, and then as time goes on, as you use it, you're going to learn more. We did get adopt Evolve in March of 2020 as well, with 2 licenses. And then as the team started getting more into Revit, as jobs started coming in, we started with got 5 more licenses, then 10 more licenses, and then I believe about 6 months ago I went up to, now we have 45 licenses. So the whole department has a license of Evolve. Everybody uses Evolve on a daily basis. So it's, we still have our kinks that we got to work out, but I didn't want, we could start a job in AutoCAD and it could last 2 years. I didn't want AutoCAD around for another 2 years. I wanted to, it was a hit the stop sign, make a right turn, and that's the road we went down.
Yeah. So I want to lean into that a bit more, but before that, let's kind of sit on those early days of the process and that transition. How did you guys go about building a plan to really successfully accomplish that goal of, everything out of AutoCAD and all in Revit?
To be honest, we didn't have a plan. I'll be very honest. One of the guys he took on the first Revit job, and so we went down that road and we figured out the kinks here and there, with, obviously with prefabrication of ductwork, our coil line, things like that, how we wanted to spool things with Evolve. And like you said, there wasn't really a plan. We kind of adapted as it came. We had processes prior to Revit with fabrication. We tried to replicate a lot of those processes. So we didn't have to, there was tweaks here and there, to get those with schedules and things like that. But I mean, there really wasn't a plan. Just to be honest, there wasn't. We rolled with the punches and figured things out on the fly as they came. We knew what the end outcome was. We wanted it to be, and we have got there. There's been some long nights, figuring that out, but there really wasn't a plan, and it was, here's Revit. We need to be all in Revit in the next year and a half.
Yeah, but you had that guiding North Star of,
I mean,
it's Revit or nothing.
And I there are a lot of companies that do the pilot and things like that do one job and then another job, and we really didn't have that option. And to go back a little bit, we had a lot of proprietary stuff in fabrication where we were locked into AutoCAD 2018. For me to even move forward again, I had to pay another $30,000 to get data rewritten, and it was like the Frankenstein in the room. I didn't want to deal with it anymore, so it was pump the brakes, and this is where we're going, because I didn't want, that's not where I wanted to go.
Yeah. Well, what are some maybe lessons learned or things that surprised you during this transition from CAD MEP to Revit, especially during you picked a really interesting 2 years
yes,
in the world history to do this transition.
If I would have known, I would have done it a little bit different, I think. But
hindsight's 2020, huh?
all in all, I mean, without my team and what their efforts and their willingness and buy-in to do this, I couldn't have done it without them. So they've all learned a new software, and they're moving forward, and I have champions for sure. I do have some awesome champions that they are the bread and butter of what, if I need something done, they do it, dynamo scripting and things like that. But yeah, it's been a rough ride for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned about Evolve MEP. What role did they play in this transition?
So I've dealt with a little bit with Evolve before at my previous job, and I've known Brett and Michael Shin for quite some time. And with us at RK, we've spent a lot of money with our fabrication database. So we didn't want to go, we didn't want to have to create another database, using families. We wanted to be able to use the ITMs. And so one of the other employees here had used Evolve as well. And, we sat down, we talked about it, what route we wanted to go. Brett was, awesome, and gave us a demo copy. We used it, we figured it out, and we also went down some other roads of, do we want to go this route? And we looked at the ROI and stuff like that. And Evolve was the route for us to go, especially with, it's very friendly with ITMs and the database that we've created that, I don't want to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in your opinion, then, how do you kind of leverage a partnership with a software provider?
So I think like the partnership, I think, software provider also has to listen to the customer. We've been great support with Evolve. We've been going back and forth for the last couple of days with some issues that we've came up with for, some parameters and things like that. And they are willing to work with you and maybe obviously think about putting it in a preview, in a release to come out. And I think it's that partnership, like you said, it is a partnership. You have to work together. I don't want to buy a software and then that software company just says, good luck and here you go. It's building that software together and making it, what we all know it can be.
Yeah, I do think that's a cool part of the Evolve team and what they do there in having that open dialogue back and forth. That knowing those guys, they are all about getting the more feedback, the better. As far as they're concerned, they welcome it.
We use support, and it's nice. We use support, and James will call me, and ask me the question, which is nice. Is they're not just, putting it to some people who are doing support, and they're involved as well, and they listen to the customer for sure. Yeah.
Any aspects of Evolve that kind of stand out more top of mind for you?
So for us, I mean, and I asked my team all of their opinions as well. When we talked about this before, is the biggest thing is the modeling tools. The aligned bottom and things like that have really helped us. It's just an easier thing. Hangers, with the attachments is huge for us, especially since we prefabricate all of our hangars, and there's no cutting things longer or anything. It knows what attachment you're using, metal deck, wood deck, what rod. So there is no, it's cutting all the stuff to the exact length. I mean, when we prefabricate all of our sloped pipe, we prefabricate that with slope on a rack in order of how it's going to be installed. So that was huge for us. I mean, that, and then the sleeves, the sleeves is definitely a huge time saver for us. But yeah, I mean, everything right now, I mean, pretty much what I've said is definitely made our job, I can't say always easier, but faster.
Nice. Very cool. Well, if you could tell somebody something about this transition from CAD MEP to Revit, what kind of heads up would you give them?
It's the little things that you don't think about that catch up to you. I think, all of a sudden we're running really smooth, and then I'll have one of my spoolers or my architectural team come into me and like, hey, this is happening. And it's something that we hadn't thought about. One of those little things that, it's such a minute task, but we didn't think about in the big picture, and just figuring out how to get that done. I mean, obviously hope, if for somebody who is transitioning into Revit from fabrication or whatever, is having those people in your department who already know Revit, who can help the others and mentor the others. That was huge for me. That was really, really big for me, is having those people to be able to, step in and help others out with some training, questions, things like that, because I'm not always available. Mm-hmm. And just, also getting that buy-in from your team, not having that pushback.
Yeah.
And it's really, I have some people in my department who have pushed back a lot, and it's awesome to hear them say, you know what, I really like Revit now.
Nice. Yeah. A little redemption there.
Yeah.
I like it. What would you say to someone who is maybe behind in adopting tech?
That's a hard one. I mean, I feel if you're not adopting tech, you're going to get left behind. I mean, that's kind of the way our industry is going. Mm-hmm. It is all going to technology. I mean, starting this in AutoCAD 2000 and seeing where it is now and seeing how much the software has changed. And I remember, when I first started drawing stuff, this is before Navis even came out, and 3D coordinating things just off my contract hard copy documents, and I would have offsets and stuff, and they, that's because there was a beam there, but there was no clash detection. Yeah. I don't want to go back to that ever again. But I think, if you haven't adopted technology, you really need to think about it and see about moving forward. Obviously, if you haven't yet, start very slow and don't jump into it, because then you will get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Well, looking out over a few years, where do you think the adoption of Revit is really setting RK Mechanical up over the next 5 years or so?
So with the adoption of Revit, I mean, for me personally, and the company, this pandemic has definitely changed the way that the world works now. Sure. I currently have 40 employees. I have 8 fully remote employees in other states. So for us, using Revit's awesome because it's all cloud-based. We're using BIM 360, so they can work anywhere. They don't have to VPN to a server. It makes everybody's life a lot easier. I mean, I have people in North Carolina and Louisiana, and it's just like they're in the office because they're working on the same models. It's all cloud-based. So yeah, it makes everything a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. If you could kind of change something up in that managing of the remote workforce, because there's a lot of challenges that come with that for sure. What would that be? Or like, what's the challenging aspect of that dynamic?
So the challenging aspect of having, remote employees obviously is managing them and making sure productivity. We are very big on productivity here at RK. We judge productivity every day. I can track it through Power BI by linear footage and see how many people are drawing a day, and see where that lands with the budget. But I would say the awesome part about it is I get a pick of a talent pool it's not just in the Denver area or Colorado. Yeah.
It really expands the options there for everybody.
Yes.
The employee and employer.
Yep.
So Jason, with the obviously prefab, industrialized construction, huge trends and kind of buzzwords in the industry right now. Where do you see that really developing and taking root? And then how's that kind of shape construction moving forward?
I mean, prefab for us is 90% of everything that we model, coordinate is prefabricated. We obviously need to think of other things of, when it comes to racking systems, are we building modules in walls? Not just piece fitting, thinking about how we can move prefabrication forward and do all of the work in the shop, in a safe environment, and to eliminate that stuff in the field. But yeah, I really do push my team to think of new innovative ways of prefabrication. Think outside the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that thinking outside the box is huge. So Jason, how do you push back on the dreaded "we've always done it this way" phrase?
You always get what you always got. I mean,
I like it.
It's true.
Yeah, it's absolutely
you're
true.
get the same outcome every time if you keep doing it a certain way. Now, I mean, there are things that we all do that, a certain way, and we do that a certain way for a reason because it has proven to be the right way for you at that time or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you're always going to get the same outcome if you keep doing it the same way.
Yeah, I like it. Well, how do people find out more information and connect with you?
So they can reach me at jason.gregg@RK Mechanical, or you look up rkmechanical.com or rkmi.com. Yeah.
What does innovation mean to you?
So, like we were just talking about, innovation to me is thinking outside the box. I mean, just because we do something a certain way doesn't mean it's the right way, right? I mean, take that risk and let's try something different. Let's take this whole wall system and let's build it in the shop. We can do the electrical in there. We can do that kind of stuff. And I really push my team to think outside the box. What can we prefabricate here that we don't usually do, or can we do it in a different way? Yeah, I mean, don't just because we do it doesn't mean it's always right. And that goes with anything we do. That goes with modeling, coordination, not just prefabrication. Just because we draw something a certain way, let's try something new. Let's try it a different way. And that's kind of what we did when we went with Revit and Evolve. I mean, we outside the box and said, here we go, enjoy the ride.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thanks so much for taking time. Anything else you want to get out there?
Nope. I just, thanks for the time and, thanks for everything.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much.
Thanks.